Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, we will present about difference of price determination based on Islamic scholars' view and conventional perspective. Okay, I will introduce our team. First is me, Nur Atirah binti Mat Ali, and the second presenter is Intan Nur Arisha Hanum binti Muhammad Rosli, and the third presenter is Siti Halimah binti Ismail, and the last one is Nur Sabrina binti Sabri. Okay, we will go to the introduction first. Okay, the economy is one of the pillars of national life. A strong state economy will be able to guarantee the prosperity and affordability of the people. One of the mainstay of the nation economy is market health, both the market for goods and service, the money market and the labor market. Okay, the health of market is highly depend on market machines capable of creating a balanced price level, namely the price level generated by the interaction between the force of demand and healthy performance. Okay, so pricing is usually done by adding the above percentage, the value or total cost of production for the manufacturing business and in excess of capital merchandise for trade business. Okay, while in the service business, pricing usually done taking into account the cost incurred and sacrifice of energy and time in providing service to service user. Okay, in a free market, the cost of commodities and service develop from the balance between demand and supply, so no third party needs to intervene to determine price in such a scenario. So, consumers desire to acquire a product and manufacture a collection to meet this demand. The equilibrium market price is the price at which quantity supply equals quantity demand. So, as we know, it is common knowledge that there are indeed some difference when talking about Islamic way of life and non-Islamic way of life. So, there are different between Islamic economies and non-Islamic economies, or what we often term as a conventional economies, even though at a first glance it look the same. So, today we will talk about the difference of price determination, penentuan harga based on Islamic scholars' view and conventional perspective.
Okay, first is concept of price determination. A price is the exchange value in monetary terms for a product or service agreed to by the seller and the buyer in a transaction. Price increase are essential to achieve the organization goals in maximizing profitability as well as increasing sales revenue and market share. Pricing in general is determined based on cost, value and competition. Firstly is cost-based pricing, which is three approaches, namely the cost of the capital, breakdown cost and the target profit. According to the cost incremental pricing approach, the price is determined by adding profit margins to the cost of production of products. Okay, next is factors affecting price determination. Firstly, pricing objective. The objective of pricing is to ensure that the business continues to operate by marketing products at low prices to create demand for product. Therefore, companies that want to keep the business operating, then the company needs to market the product at a low price level. Low price, on the other hand, must be able to cover fixed costs and variable costs throughout operation to ensure that the business continues to run smoothly and balanced. Second is product cost. The price placed by the marketer or business must be able to cover all costs that involved and be able to make a profit. Marketers, business or manufacturers should calculate all the production costs, involve fixed costs and variable costs before setting the price of the product to be sold. Number 3 is organizational consideration. The price is also determined depending on the size, type, capabilities of the organization and so on. This is because if the organization is large, the price is determined by the sales management, while for small organization, the price is determined by the owner of the business itself. If a product is constantly getting great competition in the market, a pricing department may be created. Fourth, competition in the market. Product pricing should also look at the design of the product, the type of product, the quality of the product itself, and distribution form, as well as type of a promotion carried out on the product. This high price will be determined on branded and high quality products, whereas a product distributed without a store and without going through many distribution channels will be set a low price. Fifth, government and legal regulation. Social, culture, and legal environments can also determine the price level of a product, and this factor has influenced marketing in setting the price of the product. Determination of prices for marketers can also be influenced by hospitality. This is because the government can control prices for controlled products such as sugar, wheat flour, and cooking oil. This is under the control of Supply Act 1961, whereby the price for controlled product must be set at a reasonable price. Six is the utility and demand. The price is determined based on the buyer's perception of the value of the product. If marketers predict the value of a potential buyer's perception of a product is high, a high price will be placed, while if the pricing is higher than the consumer perception, it will affect the sales of the product. For products sold below the consumer perception level, product sale will not have a problem, but marketers will get less revenue from the sales of those products. For example, consumers are willing to pay a price of a 15 ringgit for a plate of nasi lemak in a hotel because they want to enjoy the comfortable environment. The last one is marketing method use. There are two pricing methods of new product, which are market direction and market penetration method. First, using the market direction method is to break the strategy of the manufacturer to set a high price comparable to the quality and image of the product sold for maximum profit. Product sales are few, but the profit earned is plentiful in the short term. The type of product produced has an constantly demand, where consumers are more concerned with product quality than price. Example of product are luxury goods, specialties, medicine product.
Second discussion is about price determination based on Islamic view. The word price in Arabic terminology is saman, which means equipment used to sell and buy. The concept of price in Islamic economics is defined as an estimate or measure for the sale of goods, whether they are expensive or cheap, without removing the causes that affect the goods. In Al-Ghazali's opinion, the concept of price is included in naturally structured market and will be shaped by the factors influencing price. Whereas Ibn Khaldun states that price is the result of the law of demand and supply, except the price of gold and silver because it uses standard prices. Okay, next, based on Sharia, prices are categorized as valid or invalid. What is meant by valid prices? Here is the market price set according to Sharia. For example, a market price that is independent of any mazmuma values. A valid price is a price that meets all possible requirements of Sharia law in the process of formation. Meanwhile, an invalid price means the opposite of a valid price, which is a price that does not follow the requirements of Sharia law in the formation process. Under normal circumstance, an invalid price can also occur. For example, in principle, an item is good, but the quality is not good. Then the price for the item is invalid. The party that has the right to determine the market price is Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, as mentioned in the hadith of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When the price increase occur at that time, the meaning is indeed Allah determines the price, who rewards, who expand, and who provides sustenance. And indeed, I hope to meet Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala in a situation when none of you demand me because of oppression in the soul or the price. Riwayat Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Tirmizi, Ibn Majah. Based on this hadith, the scholars differ in opinion regarding the concept of price fixing in Islam. The Hanbali school and the Shafi'i school insist that the government cannot set the price of an item in any situation. This is because a state has no right, and only Allah has the right to set the price. The opinion of Abu Yusuf, who is the Mufti of the Caliphate of Harun al-Rashid, agrees on the pricing that this matter is the provision of Allah. Even so, Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion is different because his interpretation of the above hadith is also different. He stated that Rasulullah SAW did not interfere in the matter of price increase at that time because the market situation was by Islamic law. If the Hanbali school and the Shafi'i school do not allow the government to set the price, but it is different from Ibn Taymiyyah because he allowed the government to set the price in some circumstance. In the meantime of Umar ibn al-Khattab, he obligated the government to intervene in the determination of prices when price increases occur due to fraud in supply and demand. This is to protect the rights of buyers and sellers. Apart from that, Rasulullah SAW once intervened to people who walk through the transaction of freeing a slave. This surah also causes Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion to differ on price fixing. Among the factors, he allowed the government to interfere in the determination of price is to avoid the occurrence of monopoly power over certain goods. In short, the pricing can be determined by the government to return the concept of price to follow Islamic law. In conclusion, pricing in Islam is permissible even if the price determined is expensive or cheap. This is because to create healthy marketing competition. Even so, in the event of price fraud or things that are prohibited in pricing, Islam obligates the government to intervene for the benefit of buyers and sellers. The scholars of fiqh also agree that price control should be implemented if something undesirable happens. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, next we go to the concept of price in conventional view. The conventional economic system is a type of economic system adopted by many countries around the world. A conventional economy is an economic system in which everyone has total freedom to engage in economic activity. It may also be described as an economic system that has been widely used in community. As such, it is a human-determined system in a society with no absolute rule, but which is flexible and adapted to the needs of society. The conventional economic system is categorized into two sections, which is capitalist and socialist economy. In conventional economy, price theory is discussed about how the market economy operates. The price of commodity or service whose market is competitive, high, and cheap is determined by market demand and supply according to market pricing theory. The high or low value of an object or service that can be measured in money is the concept of pricing that may be defined. The price of a product is a crucial factor in its marketing. A price is the monetary equivalent of exchange rate for product or service because the price defines how much profit a firm will make. from selling its product either in the form of goods or service. It is one of the factors of company success. In general, when a salesperson sells a product, he does it in exchange for money. In return for product and service, the buyer gives the seller money. The price of a good or service is the amount of money paid by a buyer to the seller for one unit that good or service. For example, if a buyer pay Rm30 to buy 1 kilogram of apple, the price of apple will be 30 per kilogram. Okay, next is determining price. The following are some of the most important elements that influence a seller's decision to set a price for a commodity. First, production cost. The seller sets a market price for his commodity that is more than the cost of manufacturing per unit. Profit per unit is the difference between the per unit price and the per unit cost of production of the commodity. So, the greater the difference between price and per unit cost of manufacturing, the higher the profit margin. Therefore, the per unit cost of manufacturing is important in determining the price of a commodity by a seller. Okay, second, sell forecast at various pricing. The vendor also think about how much of the commodity he be able to sell at various pricing. Furthermore, the price of commodity he set must be such that the entire quantity of the commodity he sell yield him the greatest total profit. Okay, the lastly, other seller have set the price. When determining the price of his commodity, the seller takes into account the price set by other seller of similar commodities. If a seller set a price for his product that is significantly higher than the price set by other similar vendor, he may be unable to sell more of the commodity. As a result, he will have to lower the price of his commodity in order to increase sale. Thus, in order to maximize profit, it is also critical for a commodity seller to set a price for his item that is equivalent to that of other sellers. The main role in the pricing decision-making process. The function of providing an information plays significant importance in the price decision-making process. First, the allocation. The price allocation role is a function of price in helping buyer in determine how to acquire the highest expected benefit or utility based on their purchasing power. As a result, the existence of pricing might assist purchasers in deciding how to allocate their purchasing power to various types of goods and service. Buyers compare price from various available alternatives, then decide on the desired allocation of fund. Next, the information. The function of pricing in educating consumer about product factors such as quality, which is known as the informative role of price. This is especially important when purchasers are having trouble honestly evaluating the product value or benefit. The common perception is the higher price corresponds to great quality. Okay, that's all from me. We go to the next presenter.
Okay, last, the conclusion. So in a conclusion, we can see pricing in Islam and conventional. So we go to the pricing in Islam first. Islam is permissible even if the price is determined is expensive or cheap. Sebab this is because to create healthy marketing competition. Even walaupun dalam event tu harga tu fraud or things that are prohibited in Islam, walaupun tidak digalakkan dalam Islam is obliged the government to intervene for the benefits buyer and sellers. The scholars of fiqh also agree that price control should be implemented if something undesirable happen. So if in a conventional marketing, pricing still has no specific guidelines. Just tak ada apa guideline yang tetap to follow, as long as the process can give a return to the company and the price of the goods or service still gets a positive reaction for customer. Selfish kan? So the price charge can be adopted, but there are three main factors that need to be taken into the account. The first is the customer's perception of the value of goods and service. Second, the cost price for a good and service, and the factor in the field of marketing. So as we can see, of course, that the concept of pricing in Islam is according to Marquis al-Sharia. So which is create benefits and avoid harm to humans. Pricing is a must on a pretext of upholding human interests by combating market distortions. In the Islamic concept, the most common principle is the price are determined by the balance of supplies and demand and economic justice, taking into account and interest of the parties involved in the market. So as we can see, of course, the pricing in Islam is according with Maqasid Sharia. So that's all from us. Thank you.